It's Tuesday, March 25. In the headlines, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to visit Jamaica. In business news, rum debate. The right to call a particular brand of rum Jamaican is now a court matter. Regionally, Afrexim Bank, African Trade Center to boost jobs and trade in Barbados. And in sports, the Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championship starts today. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. As U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio prepares for his visit to Jamaica this week, a former senior lecturer at the University of the West Indies is calling on CARICOM to present a unified stance in regional issues. Secretary of State Rubio will arrive in Jamaica on March 26, 2025. Rubio's trip will include stops in Jamaica, Guyana, and Suriname as part of efforts to advance President Donald Trump's foreign policy priorities in the Caribbean. During his visit to Jamaica, Rubio is also expected to engage in bilateral talks with the heads of government of Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and Haiti. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, says in a statement, quote, "Our countries have a long-standing partnership since our independence, and our robust cooperation has been practiced at all levels and across critical sectors, including health, agriculture, security, trade, and investment. This visit is another opportunity to strengthen collaboration and address the pressing issues that affect our countries and the region." End quote. Secretary of State Rubio is the fourth U.S. Secretary to visit Jamaica in the past 7 years, following those by Rex Tillerson in February 2018 and Mike Pompeo in January 2020, as well as Anthony Blinken in May 2024 during his participation in Haiti-related Kingston talks hosted here in Jamaica. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has attributed his administration's focused investment in the country's security forces to a significant decrease in gang activity and improvements in community safety. Dr. Holness emphasized that these positive outcomes are the direct result of ongoing investments in both the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defense Force.
By 2018, we increased the spending on security to $12.7 billion. And in 2019, we made a record $19.5 billion investment to modernize our security apparatus. This substantial increase in our first term was necessary to compensate for years of underinvestment.
He notes that the funds have strengthened security forces through investment in vehicles, intelligence, and forensic technology, and advanced training in combating cybercrime, counter-trafficking, and financial intelligence.
We have enhanced the operational capability of the Jamaica Constabulary Force and Jamaica Defense Force, rearming them with modern tools to dismantle criminal networks. In the case of the JCF, we have invested in building one of the most advanced law enforcement agencies in the hemisphere.
Dr. Holness also shared plans for further improvement in national security with the establishment of a state-of-the-art command center.
This cutting-edge center will seamlessly integrate, coordinate, and analyze real-time data from all available sources, including CCTV and body-worn cameras.
The Minister of Finance and Public Service, Favour Williams, will be closing the debates today, March 25, at Gordon House. You can watch it live on PBCJ and on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. A major shift is coming for businesses looking to work with the government. Starting April 1, the Public Procurement Commission will extend supplier registration certificates from 18 months to 3 years. A move set to streamline the process for entrepreneurs applying for or renewing their certificates. More in this report from Danita Rodney.
Speaking at a JIS think tank on March 24, Executive Director at the Public Procurement Commission, Nadia Morris, explained that the decision to extend the 18-month duration was based on feedback from stakeholders.
Based on our stakeholder engagements and feedback from our suppliers, it was always felt the 18 months was too short. And so based on that, we saw the need and government went ahead and amended the legislation.
As part of broader public procurement reforms, legislative amendments have adjusted registration fees across the categories that exist within the public procurement process. Mrs. Morris says value suppliers will see from the extended registration validity.
Based on what we see now, we have 936 suppliers today just for this financial year alone. And we expect that with the extension of the validity period of the certificates, you will more than likely have more persons being interested to participate in the public procurement process. So I believe we'll see an uptick in participation because it's really to remove the barriers to entry so persons can actually participate in the public procurement process that the government entities would be engaged in.
The executive director says the PPC expects the amendment to encourage more businesses to bid on government contracts.
I believe increased competition, because as it stands now, you keep seeing the same suppliers bidding for the similar projects. So we really need to get more different, but the same suppliers within the platform to participate and increase competition.
She acknowledges that there is still much work to be done and the entity is focused on implementing efficient reforms within the public procurement system.
And also to note, we understand that the entire public procurement system requires reform. And so we are now in train with the registration reform that would now lead to less documentation required to complete your application and also to integrate with other government agencies so you will not be duplicating the effort with requesting documents from one entity when it could have been an integrated and joined up approach.
Time is running out for taxpayers to take advantage of the Special Arrears Settlement Program, which ends on March 31, 2025. Tax Administration Jamaica is urging individuals and businesses with outstanding taxes to settle their principal amounts and get waivers on interest, penalties, and surcharges. The program has already collected over $6 billion and applies to various tax types, inclusive of education tax, corporate income tax, individual income tax, pay as you earn, special consumption tax, general consumption tax, asset tax, and partnership income tax. Filers who meet the deadline can also have late fees waived. However, GCT taxpayers must submit a written waiver request to qualify. TAJ is actively reaching out to taxpayers but warns that after March 31, enforcement actions will increase for non-compliance. For details, visit jamaicatax.gov.jm or call 888-TAX-HELP. The National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, has confirmed that the Rio Cobre in St. Catherine has returned to ambient condition. following a pollution event linked to a fish kill on March 15. The agency continues to investigate the source of the contamination. A post-incident assessment was conducted on March 19, and NEPA's findings revealed that water samples taken from the affected areas show pH levels ranging from 7.3 to 8.1, which fall within the normal background range of 7.18 to 8.71. The pH scale, which measures acidity, ranges from 0 to 14, with 7 being neutral. Values above 7 indicate basicity, while values below 7 indicate acidity. NEPA's initial investigation suggests that an alkaline substance may have contributed to the pollution, noting that the water appeared cloudy and emitted a strong, unpleasant odor. The contamination occurred between the communities of Zephyrton and Vanity Fair along the Rio Cobre. Individuals who experience domestic violence are more likely to become infected with HIV than those who do not experience domestic violence. One study has shown that persons who experience domestic violence are 48% more likely to be infected with the disease than those who do not. This could pose a threat to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 3.3 to end the transmission of HIV/AIDS by 2030. Policy officer and advocate at the Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, Patrick Layla, tells us more in this JIS feature.
Many times people sit out there and they judge people living with HIV. How you know you have the virus and you don't go to the doctor and you don't take your medication? But there is so much more happening in people's lives that you'd be surprised to know this HIV that you take as the big thing becomes minor to all the other challenges that they are trying to cope with.
Challenges like the fear of one's spouse, knowing that resistance could be met with physical and other abuse, making it easy for the abuser to use forced or coerced intercourse unprotected at that. Domestic violence generally makes negotiation during intercourse difficult or non-existent. It's often cloaked in the idea of a woman being a man's property instead of his beloved in need of his protection.
The cultural norms about what it means to be man or woman, the cultural beliefs that continues to say, you are in charge as the man. You are supposed to take charge, and if the woman does anything out of line, you are supposed to put her in place.
And our society propels these ideas further when we victim blame, putting the burden of responsibility on those on the receiving end of the abuse.
We don't have a supportive society when it comes to these issues of domestic violence. One of the first things is asked in numerous cases is what you do. Why you do make the man lick you? This is a frequent question. In instances, people have gone to the police to make reports, and the question is asked. They have gone to health facilities to seek health care for the injuries suffered during the violent attack, and they have been asked these questions. So there's always the victim blaming, and because of that, many people hide it. They don't talk about it. They don't say that they have experienced this.
And an abusive partner knows this and further exerts control by restricting access to medical care, including HIV testing and medication, which could reduce the risk of infection.
And they stay there with injuries that are life-threatening because how am I going to explain how I got this injury? How am I going to explain they're going to think I'm not some women may think they're not going to think I'm not a good woman, I'm not a good wife. Why did the man have to abuse me?
Time now for the Business Report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, here to bring you the story shaping the financial world and guiding your journey to smarter business decisions. Let's dive into the top headlines. The KLE Group, which controls a minority stake in Usain Bolt's Tracks and Records, has transferred its restaurant operations to UBT&R Restaurant Systems, which trades as Fran Jam. UBT&R Restaurant Systems now manages the Usain Bolt's Tracks and Records locations in Kingston and Montego Bay. The KLE Group reported net loss of $25.7 million during the year ended December 31, 2024. This wiped out KLE's equity base of $10.6 million, leaving it with net equity of $14.2 million. The right to call a particular brand of rum Jamaican is now a court matter. The controversy stems from amendments to the geographical indication designation for Jamaica rum, which now prohibits aging the spirit overseas. The Spirits Pool Association, representing 6 major distilleries, including Appleton and Hampden Estate, supports the change, arguing it will boost global recognition and safeguard Jamaican rum's premium status in key markets like the EU and the US. But National Rums of Jamaica, which owns Long Pond and the majority stake in Clarendon, is fighting back. The company, partially owned by French spirits firm Maison Ferrand, relies on bulk exports for overseas aging, a practice now banned under the new rules. With NRJ appealing the decision, the battle over Jamaican rum's identity heads to a crucial hearing on April 28 in the Supreme Court. Bank of Jamaica Governor Richard Biles has observed that the challenge for the Jamaican economy is now to move from stability to growth. Mr. Biles, speaking at the recent Caribbean Macroeconomic Conference attended by RGI News, said the country weathered the shocks of COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war well, but is now time to transition to growth. The current projection is for annual average rates of real gross domestic product growth of 1% per annum during the 4-year period 2025 to 2029, after the economy declined during the 3rd and 4th quarters of the last calendar year. For the trading period ending March 24, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Alternative energy provider Wigton Energy Limited, with 11,201,451 units traded, represented 26.68% of market sales volume. Real estate developer and pharmaceutical distributor Fontana Limited, with 8,699,555 units traded, representing 20.72% of market sales volume. Toll road provider Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited, with 3,776,999 units traded, representing 8.99% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rates set by the Bank of Jamaica. On March 24, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $60.66 million purchased and US $57.17 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $1.59 per dollar, selling the US at $157.81 and buying the US at $156.22. The Canadian dollar netted Forex traders 87 cents per transaction, with selling at $110.22 and buying at $109.35. The British pound yielded Forex traders $2.25 in profits, with selling at $202.99 and buying at $200.74. For our credit report tip of the day, rebuilding your credit isn't just about fixing your credit score. It's about how you approach the process. Winning strategies for proactive people include negotiating lower interest rates to reduce overall debt, using a credit building loan or secured credit card to boost your score, keeping credit utilization below 30% or even better, under 10%. Winning strategies for reactive people, they can consider tackle past due accounts first to stop further damage. Then set up reminders for payments to avoid missing deadlines. And then think about using a secured credit card if past mistakes lead to closed accounts. And that wraps up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, reminding you that every financial decision is a step forward to your future. Until next time, stay focused, stay informed, and keep striving for success. See you soon.
In regional news, Barbados is set to benefit economically and otherwise from the establishment of the Afreximbank African Trade Center. Prime Minister Mir Amor Motley says the $360 million Barbados dollars, that is, investment will create jobs and boost trade opportunities. She was speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony at Gemot's Lane, St. Michael. One major win, Afreximbank plans to inject $3.5 million into the Urban Transformation Fund to support urban renewal.
This clear offer of the government of Barbados to make available this just over 2 hectares of land to ensure that an investment that will bring jobs to the people of Barbados, that will bring foreign exchange to the people of Barbados, that will bring investment opportunities to the people of the region, because this is first and foremost also a trade center, that you so accepted, recognizing that the history of the site and the location of the site carries with it so much more than we can ever contain in a speech from this platform. That will allow those who live in the shadows of this site to be able to have a better life for their families. And urban transformation isn't only about buildings, but that is where it must start. The quality of housing, the quality of infrastructure, and above all else, working with the institutions of the city of Bridgetown in the environs of this community, the development of the spirit of the people and the opportunities for the people, for they must be pioneers in their own land and pioneers capable of embracing the global society.
The bank's president, Professor Benedict Orama, says the project will generate 1,000 jobs during construction and 300 when operational, with completion expected by 2027.
More importantly, the Africa Trade Center Barbados would underpin the delivery of the bank's expanded ambitions in the CARICOM, as we aspire to rapidly build trade and investment bridges that will help heal old wounds and unleash an era of shared prosperity in Africa and the Caribbean. Given that we have expanded the credit limits available to the CARICOM to $2.5 billion from $1.5 billion, we look forward to a rapid growth in the bank's interventions all across the Caribbean. We also look forward to accelerating two-way trade flows between Africa and the Caribbean and unleashing the communications we all seek, the air links and the shipping lines.
CARICOM's chief veterinary officers are meeting in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago to discuss food security, safety and regional cooperation. Agriculture Minister Haji Kazim Hussein warns of disease risks from illegally imported animals, while Health Minister Terence Dayal Singh highlights concerns over bird flu. CARICOM aims to reduce the region's food import bill by 25% this year. The conference features workshops, academic presentations, and industry exhibits.
Minister of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, Haji Kazim Hussein, raised the serious issue of diseases which cross from animals to humans. This was addressed at the opening ceremony of the 25th meeting of regional veterinary officers on Monday.
We have been dealing with a situation where animals come into this country and they come in through the illegally through the borders, and we have to deal with it very seriously because these animals come into the country with a lot of diseases, and we have to take care of our health, of our people.
Minister of Health Terence Dialsing endorsed Minister Hussein's concerns, adding that our neighbors in the United States are already dealing with an outbreak of bird flu.
To protect human health, there must be an intersection with animal health. If there is no intersection, and Haji and I are working in silos, and something should happen in a cow, in a bird, that affects human health, we would have failed. We would have failed the country.
Meanwhile, Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Dr. Amory Brown, said the Caribbean community is working towards its goal of reducing the regional food import bill by 25% this year.
I'm pleased to report that our region's commitment to this important goal remains absolutely resolute. But you have a very important role to play in achieving this, to reduce our food import bill. Through the fulfillment of your mandate to strengthen disease surveillance, diagnosis, and response capabilities across the wider region, you will help to ensure that we raise and import food that is safe from farm to table.
The annual veterinary conference featured presentation of academic papers, workshops, and exhibits from various food and health sector companies. Terry Ann Brown Campbell, TTT News.
In sports, we begin with athletics. Kingston College and Edwin Allen High are expected to hit the ground running to defend their titles at the 2025 Inter-Secondary Schools Sports Association Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships, known as CHAMPS. The five-day event, marking the first competition in the newly resurfaced track at the National Stadium in Kingston, sped off at 9 a.m. Tuesday morning. This year's competition is expected to be the most competitive ever, especially among the boys, with thousands of fans in attendance anticipating epic performances across all 5 days. Tuesday's opening day will feature 30 preliminary round events, giving top athletes a chance to make an early impression. No finals are scheduled for the day. Now onto the field with football. The Reggae Boys are set to clash against St. Vincent and the Grenadines at Sabina Park on Tuesday in the second leg of their CONCACAF Gold Cup preliminary fixture. Head coach Steve McLaren is calling for strong fan support. Mr. McLaren says the atmosphere created by the crowd at the Arnos Vale Stadium in St. Vincent during the first match played a key role in St. Vincent's strong defensive display. He hopes that a similar energy at Sabina Park will boost Jamaica's performance on home soil. The winner of this two-legged tie will advance to the group stages of the CONCACAF Gold Cup, scheduled to begin in June. The match today will kick off at 7 p.m. at Sabina Park. And that's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.